Stories like this are why women should date men who are not jealous of their success, because some men can't just handle their women being more successful and thriving than they are, even after they are no longer together. The story of Rebecca Cheptegei is one that breaks a lot of hearts because she was a national record holder and a former world champion in mountain running. She was a very good athlete, one with a promising future, one that is very successful. Although it was said she is from Uganda, it was said she later on relocated and moved to Kenya with her 2 children from a previous relationship. In Kenya, she bought a house, bought a land, and began living a new life there using their athletic facility, because we know the Kenyans are one of the best long distance runners. So it's not surprising why she had to come to Kenya to live there, because this was going to be useful for her career. Although living in Kenya, she still represented Uganda in the Paris Olympics, where she partook. Even this last one, the 2024 Paris Olympics, she partook in it and was one of the runners who represented Uganda. And now that is over, she comes home to one of the most disturbing domestic attacks you would have ever heard. According to the story, she was said to be involved with a man named Dixon Ndima, but they broke up. It was just like every other relationship that ends eventually. However, Dixon did not seem to take the breakup lightly. It's possible that this boyfriend she was dating stayed in Uganda, where she used to stay. And from what we gathered, it seemed like their relationship, according to people who knew them, was very abusive, that Rebecca suffered tremendously in this man's hands while they were dating, while they were together. I don't think he is the father of her children, I doubt, so she most likely does not have any child with this man. But for some weird reason, it was said that the man wanted to control her every being, her every existence. It's not clear what the man did for a living. It's not clear if he was successful or not, but, you know, given what has just happened, I would guess he probably wasn't, because it was said that he wanted to control Rebecca's money. Because Rebecca was receiving tremendous amount of success. She was getting deals. She was making money. She was making banks. She was a very dedicated athlete that was pretty much dedicating her time into training, competing, and even winning multiple records and multiple championships. So she was a big deal. And she was also, well, as an athlete, she was quite famous at her place, at her town, even across the world as it seems now. So it was no surprise that her success or her light would be something that would be perceived as a threat to somebody who is jealous of her. And that person happened to be her supposed boyfriend, Dixon. So clearly they had relationship issues. Clearly it was something that there were probably other things that we do not know about. But part of why this man was said to have been so angered was because he was one of the reasons why Rebecca left a whole Uganda to Kenya. It was said she had to leave Uganda because this man was crazy. And she moved to Kenya, where we have already talked about how she started a life there. So while she was in Kenya, she still had properties at her hometown in Uganda. And it was believed that this Dixon guy wanted to have control over it. He wanted to be part and relevant in this girl's life still, trying to claim properties that belong to her, trying to act as though he's still her partner so that he can have some rights to the things that this woman had built herself or had acquired herself. It was so bad that even Rebecca's parents, who were in Uganda, had to call the police for Dixon multiple times because he was doing too much there. So me personally, I feel like this is one of those things where they were maybe dating but separated and somehow the relationship wasn't completely over. I'm assuming maybe they kept in touch, they talked a little, there was still one of those hints of him. You know how men can be manipulative. I'm not trying to say this, but we've seen situations where, let's say, they break up and he somehow sees her flourishing. Now he wants to get back in her life a little more, even though he knew she was flourishing, but then assumes, you know, one of those things where this Paris Olympics now is putting her back on the spotlight. She's now becoming relevant all over again because this is a woman that has been winning and competing since 2010, but as far back as early on in her career. So athletes kind of have this fluctuations with their fame, relevance. So this 2024 Paris Olympics was something that was going to put her back on the spotlight. And I think it's one of those things that got the man interested because first of all, he knew more money would come. He knew she was going to be important and this thing brought him back and he wanted to have rights to her properties, to her wealth. He wanted to have a claim, but for some reason, Rebecca made it clear to him that that is not happening. That this is not back in the day where you had the power, where he could do one of those things. And when he pretty much realized that he had lost control of her, I don't know where the madness came from. He just sparked. And on the 1st of September, fortunately my birthday, when this woman and her children had gone to church, this man found a way to their home. And I think he may have been there before, for what it's worth. For him to come to the house and have access inside the house, because they said he went inside the house with a gallon of petrol, waiting for Rebecca and her children to come back. How bad was he hurt? What's in the anger? Like, what could you, if somebody's like, I still don't believe that this is the reason why he did what he did. He waited, and when they came, he attacked her instantly, pouring her the petrol and setting her ablaze. It was even said that he continued to add more fuel, and it was probably the second time that it affected him too. This is another height of evil that I cannot just fathom. Was he living in Kenya, or did he come all the way from Uganda? Drove down from Uganda to Kenya to just come and do this terrible thing. It's weird. The sad part is Rebecca's children had to watch it happen. They had to watch their mother burn to death, because she suffered a very serious degree of burning. He too suffered a tremendous degree of burning. I guess he wasn't thinking the fire would catch up on him. And they both were rushed to the hospital, where she passed first. And while the police were waiting for the man to recover so that they can lock him up, it was later reported that he also died from the burns that he sustained. To be honest with you, it's a good thing he had to go to, because I don't think the world was going to be kind to him if he came out of it alive, because that is one level of evil that I just cannot fathom. What did this woman ever do to you? Like, what did she do? It's easy to say, but I still cannot just imagine what she would have done. I don't think she did anything. I just think this was a man who, because we see this a lot, they just get jealous when their women become more successful and don't want to have anything to do with them again. And then they feel like, oh, no, if I can't have you, no one can. Because that is why you would have to, you can be angry that you fight somebody. You can be angry that you punch somebody, beat somebody, kick somebody. Even get angry to the point where you pick up a gun and want to, pull the trigger. But you see, arson, like having to pick up petrol and matches, that is jungle behavior. To want to do that on another human being, that is evil. That is where we call evil. You running someone over with a car is you being a wicked, demonic person. And there could be an excuse for that. Brake failure, you were drunk. But even you pulling the trigger, an accident. You using a knife to stab somebody once, yeah, you were angry in the moment. But you driving your car all the way from a far distance to a woman's house, find your way inside the house with a gallon of petrol, waiting for her to come back. She comes back and you douse her with it and light her on fire and start to stop people from trying to help her, even going as far as adding more. Nah, that is another level of witchcraft, if I must say. That is an evil mind. So what could have prompted him? Is it because she refused him from controlling her properties? She broke up. They're not together. At the time of this incident, they were separated. So what was his issue? Did he feel used? Did he feel like she's scammed him of money? There is no other explanation other than what we have, that he wanted to control this woman because that's what he has been trying to do all their relationship. That's what he had been doing when they were together. He wants to control every single thing she did. And I'm sure he was one of those people who would most likely tell her not to chase and dream. Don't run, don't compete, be at home, be a wife. Men like this are the ones that want to, when they see their wife that have so much potential, knowing that if they let their wife go out there and shine, they will be famous and they will be more respected and they'll make more money. These are the men that will dim that light, cover it, suppress it, and reduce the woman with so much potential into nothing at all. And then they'll probably go out cheating on women who has high standards and who had career. Reminded me of a movie I watched back in the day where this woman wanted to be a pharmacist, but her husband, the man she was dating then, encouraged her not to do it, that he would be the one to take care of the family. that, she should stay home and look after the kids and be a, perfect housewife. This man talked this woman out of her dreams of being a pharmacist, and she ended up not chasing that dream. Many years down the line, the man divorces her to marry a pharmacist. And I remember seeing this movie from a long time ago, and I think that movie kind of stuck in my head in how you get to see a lot of men who are like this. And they'll be the ones, those are the men that will complain so much about how their wife don't bring nothing to the table, how their wife don't do anything, how their wife does not, and yet they wouldn't let this woman shine. You want to reduce your wife to just having a provision store, to just working from home, when you know she could be so much more, but you're afraid that she'll be bigger than you, so you dim her light and use your advantage as the fact that you are the man in the society and men are put somewhere here, and then you use that advantage to suppress her. Well, I guess that was somewhat what the case of Rebecca was. With all her championships and all her, accolades and everything she had won, this man most likely found her attractive, and when they were dating, probably wanted to use that as a cash grab or wanted to suppress her, but she just kept fighting back. I'd have loved to know what happened in her former marriage, though, or the father of her actual children. I don't know. That would have been an insight to probably understand these kinds of men. Well, we know it was not her former husband that killed her. So whatever happened between her and her former husband, if he did not pass, I guess it's better than this boyfriend who felt too entitled. It's just unfortunate.